go 90 to 100 laps on a tank of fuel. Now the qualifying has been concluded here at the racetrack. You see the grid there on pit road getting ready to roll out. And here now is the starting lineup for today's Budweiser 200. Starting on the pole position will be Mike Alexander in the Acton Vans Buick. He qualified at 143.192. Alongside will be Larry Pearson in car number 21. The second row has Rob Moroso in car number 25 and Tommy Ellis in 99. Going to row number 3, it's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 and L.D. Ottinger in car number 2. Starting in row number 4, Jack Ingram, many-time champion of this division in car number 11, and Jimmy Hensley driving car number 5. Starting in the 5th row, it'll be the fastest qualifier on Hoosier tires, Dale Jarrett, car 32, and Jimmy Spencer in 34. Going to row number 6, it's Rick Mast in number 22 and Ken Schrader in 52. The 7th row today consists of Brad Teague in car 75 and Larry Pollard in number 7. He's subbing for the injured Harry Gant. In the 8th row, Bobby Hillen Jr. at car number 81 and Billy Standridge in 47. The 9th row consists of Kyle Petty in car number 30 and Morgan Shepherd in 97. Tom Peck in car number 96 and Tommy Houston in number 6 make up row number 10. In the 11th row, it's Ronald Cooper in 56 and Jamie Albee in number 41, the fastest of the Busch Grand National North drivers. Mike Swain drives number 58 today and Dave Lynn number 3. They're in row number 12. The 13th row, Kelly Moore in number 4 and Joey Karafis in 33. The 14th row has Brett Hearn in car number 20 and Dave Resendiz in 79. The 15th row, Steve Grissom in 39 and Larry Brolsma in 26. Ed Barrier in car number 90 and Tommy Sigmund in number 7 make up row number 16. In the 17th row, it'll be Dale Shaw in car number 60 and Joe Bessie in car number 9. And finally in the 18th row, number 02 driven by Kenny Burks and the 61 car driven by Dave Davis. Well, the command has just been given to start the engines. There you see the stellar field getting set to move off pit road for a couple of warm-up laps before we get the green flag for today's Budweiser 200. Now, there's the number 22 machine driven by Rick Mast. He'll start in the 11th position. Had some problems during qualifying yesterday, Ned.
Yes, he did. He was a winner of one of the 200-mile races at Dover here last year and was the fastest car, I believe, in the last practice session this morning. He had a broken shock on the car when he qualified yesterday, so that put him back in the 11th position. So we might look for him to move up towards the front very early.
Well, Rick Mast has won so far this year on the Busch Grand National Circuit, so he is one of the 11 that have visited victory lane. The number 75 car being driven by Brad Teague today of Johnson City, Tennessee, and Brad recently lost his Winston Cup ride
to Joe Ruttman. The Slender U people decided to sort of merge their racing team with a new team that Joe Ruttman was in the process of building. So starting last week in Charlotte, Joe Ruttman was in the Bob Clark Slender U car number 31. However, we did see Slender U still on the front of the car number 75 Brad Teague's driving here today.
There are only 3 V8s in today's field, and there are 13 cars starting on Hoosiers and 23 on Goodyears. Back with the start of the Budweiser 200 in just a moment. The field is warming up as Speed World today is live from Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. And the 36 cars that will start today's race are now coming out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. There's the defending champion of the Grand National Division, Larry Pearson, who has not had a particularly good season. However, he has entered the winner's circle.
He has one victory on a short track, but I talked with him this morning, Bob, and he's certainly not pleased with his season. He did say that luck just hasn't been in his corner so far this year. He's won the championship the last 2 years in a row, and he'll admit that he had some lucky breaks along the way, but he won a number of races, and he's not where he would like to be this year. He's never won a super speedway race, even though he's led many of them. He'd like to put that to rest here this afternoon.
Well, in addition to being a good, talented race driver with a good pit crew, it does take luck, and that very often means the difference between being the champion and being in second position. The pole sitter again is the number 84 Action Vans Buick, driven by Mike Alexander from Franklin, Tennessee, who is the points leader in the Grand National Division.
And starting back in 9th place was the winner of last week's Winn-Dixie 300 at Charlotte, is Dale Jarrett. He had a problem this morning. He had the wires burned off of the engine. They had an engine fire in there, and they put him back. He hasn't had any practice since then, so he'll have some anxious moments.
And the field now in turns number 1 and 2, and we're almost ready to go. Let's go to Jerry Punch quickly.
Well, Ned, we talked to Dale Jarrett just a minute ago, and Dale was really concerned about those wiring. You know, the fire he had this morning, as you said in that practice session, burned everything beneath the hood of the car. And John Irvin and the crew worked feverishly to put the wiring harness back together, but they are awfully concerned about the ignition in that Portaloo Oldsmobile. We'll have to see what happens with Dale when the green flag drops.
Well, the lights are off in the pace car, so it will begin to accelerate here in turn number 4 and pull off of the racetrack. The field will be in the hands of Mike Alexander. Larry Pearson outside of row number 1, and in the second row, Rob Moroso, car number 25, and Tommy Ellis in the number 99 car. Slow start coming off of corner number 4. There the pace car dives into the pit area now, and the field begins to accelerate coming off the 4th corner, looking for the green flag. And the green is out. The Budweiser 200 underway on this Saturday afternoon. We're glad you could join us live from Dover Downs International Speedway. Mike Alexander grabs the lead as the cars come out of the second quarter and race down the backstretch. It's Rob Moroso alongside Larry Pearson battling for second spot as Mike Alexander begins to stretch it out down just a little bit. They come off of corner number 4 and complete lap number 1. It is Mike Alexander.
And Larry Pearson has already moved back to about the 5th position. Starting on the outside, he got out there and couldn't get back in, but his car is going slower than it should be, even on the outside.
He's on the high side of the racetrack and dropping back very badly. Kyle Petty, meanwhile, slides high on the racetrack as we continue to watch the leaders up here. Rob Moroso in second. In third place is Tommy Ellis. In 4th position is Darrell Waltrip, and 5th is L.D. Ottinger. Then comes Jack Ingram, Dale Jarrett, and Rick Mast as they once again head into the first turn.
It's not too surprising that Alexander moved out to as big a lead as he did this early, Bob, because he beat the second-place qualifier by about a third of a second. That's very unusual in this division. They're normally closer than that.
There he is hugging the inside line in the 3rd and 4th turns, and there is the interval between 1st and 2nd as Moroso, Ellis, Darrell Waltrip, and L.D. Ottinger are running very tightly there for that second position as about 15 or 20 car lengths separate 1st and 2nd. It's a very long race, 200 miles for these cars, and it is a very demanding racetrack. As you heard Mike Alexander say in the open, it's almost all turn. You don't have much time on the straightaways, and so corner speed is a very important factor here at this racetrack.
It is indeed, and it's also hard on tires too, Bob, because of the amount of time that you're in the turns here. There's a tremendous amount of pressure on the tires.
Well, now Larry Pearson is on the inside of the racetrack, and he is trying to move back up through the traffic. That is Ken Schrader to his outside, the number 52 car, the red one. The 75 belongs to Brad Teague, and the 81 is Bobby Hillen. So some regular Winston Cup drivers are battling for position here with Larry Pearson.
Now, this is one type of a racetrack that the regulars on the Busch Grand National Circuit can certainly hold their own with the Winston Cup drivers. When you get on the track longer than a mile, sometimes they have a little bit of trouble because of the experience. But here, they can hang right with them. In fact, they're flat out running all of those Winston Cup drivers right now. Larry
Pearson and Ken Schrader are battling for that 9th position. Larry Pearson moves slightly ahead of Ken Schrader as they race down the straightaway once again. That's Pearson, Schrader, Brad Teague, and Bobby Hillen. The blue car belongs to Jimmy Spencer. And the yellow one is Jimmy Hensley behind the blue. As single file formation now down the backstretch. One car is being lapped already. That's Dave Davis in car number 61. You saw the field move high in the backstretch as Davis from Freeport, Maine put his car low on the racetrack.
Here's a good battle for 6th position. Jack Ingram leads that crew. Rick Mast has moved around Dale Jarrett, and several other cars moving up into that position. Larry Pearson now has moved right up on Dale Jarrett's back bumper, so about 10 cars battling for that 6th position.
While we watch this battle, we will tell you that Mike Alexander continues to lead, stretching it out even more on Robbie Moroso. 3rd is Tommy Ellis, 4th Darrell Waltrip, and 5th is L.D. Ottinger. And then this group of cars, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 17th, clear back to 17th as they're in single file formation.
Well, Jack Ingram running at the head of that pack. He's a 5-time national national champion of the Busch Grand National Series, but yet to win so far in 1988.
Leads this pack of cars off the fourth corner. Rick Mast there right behind him. The black car there on the high side of the racetrack is driven by Morgan Shepherd, the number 97, and he has picked up a couple of positions, passing Jimmy Hensley, among others.
Morgan don't mind trying to find another groove on the racetrack, and evidently he's found something that's working for him up on the outside, and he is moving up on that pack of cars.
Meanwhile, Jack Ingram has his hands full with the number 22 car of Rick Mast. Now, Morgan Shepherd is that black car high on the racetrack. There is Jack Ingram, who runs in 6th position and leads this pack of cars around the racetrack. So we have completed 10 laps out of 200. We understand that the number 6 machine, Tommy Houston rather, is dropping back. He has pulled to the inside of the racetrack. There he is, and was obviously headed for pit road, as the car is very low on the racetrack and is certainly not up to speed.
Tommy's had a lot of trouble this year. It's too bad. He's a tremendous race driver and a very hard worker. The only driver to have competed in every one of the Busch Grand National Series since this division started back in 1982.
There is first and second. Mike Alexander in the yellow number 84 leads Robbie Moroso in car number 25. Back with more in a moment at the Budweiser 200.
Tommy Houston on pit road, an unscheduled pit stop for the Busch Grand National veteran. They are having engine trouble. The car just started missing. He is now sitting in the pits. His 2 young sons, Scott and Marty, are working on the car. Tommy losing a lot of valuable time here at Dover, Delaware.
So one of those who is certainly a candidate to win every race that he competes in. Tommy Houston is on pit road. The hood is up on that car, and it does not look good. Here is the leader, Mike Alexander, coming across the stripe and completing lap number 17 in the lead. Here's a great battle. A couple of Winston Cup veterans. Ken Schrader on the outside in the number 52 red car, and Morgan Shepherd inside in car number 97.
Before we went away on the break, Jack Ingram was leading a pack of cars, about 10 or 11 cars, fighting for 6th position. Since then, Dale Jarrett has moved around to him, and now Kenny Schrader is running in the 7th position. Morgan Shepherd trying to take that away, but was not able to do it.
7th and 8th right here. Meanwhile, Jack Ingram there in the number 11 Skoll-sponsored car is back to 8th position, so he has lost 2 spots just in the last few laps. We do, meanwhile, have a battle shaping up for that 2nd position. In fact, Darrell Waltrip has already passed Ron Moroso, so Waltrip moves into 2nd, Moroso back to 3rd. A great battle still going on here for position between Morgan Shepherd, and that is the battle for 7th spot.
Schrader certainly using his portion of the racetrack, and he's going to use it to his advantage every way that he possibly can to keep Morgan Shepherd back there.
As they come off the back stretch and go into the banking right here, it's like dropping off a 3-story building. The groove is from high on the back stretch to very low in the corner, and it's equal to 3 stories. Here's a pass. Morgan Shepherd pulls alongside and inches ahead of Morgan Shepherd, and so he takes over that position as Larry Pearson is also involved in a great battle for position. Bobby Hill in the number 81 behind him, and Jimmy Spencer in 34 also right there.
Good racing going on everywhere. Bobby Hillen in the 81 car down on the inside. Jimmy Spencer in car number 34, the blue car on the outside, goes a little deeper into the turn, but he slides up a little bit, and here comes Hillen back on the inside.
The green and white car that you normally see driven by Harry Gant, who is trailing the 75 car there at Brad Teague, is driven this week by Larry Pollard. Of course, Harry Gant is still laid up from the injuries that he received during the Coca-Cola World 600 last weekend. So the substitute driver today is going to be Larry Pollard, and he, of course, was also scheduled to compete in the Winston Cup race that we'll have live here on ESPN tomorrow afternoon. And he'll be substituted tomorrow by Morgan Shepherd.
Bob, the fastest car on the racetrack, with the risk of sounding like it might be boasting, might be Dale Jarrett. He has moved into the 5th position, moving around L.D. Ottinger not too long ago, and now moving in on Tommy Ellis, who is running in the 4th position. Jarrett's car, apparently that ignition wire working okay for him that they put on this morning.
Great side-by-side battle here. Bobby Hillen in the yellow and white number 81, and Jimmy Spencer to his outside, the great modified champion, who competes here here in the northeastern portion of the United States. Now Bobby Hillin wants to take over that position from Larry Pearson. Sneaking to the inside. They come down the backstretch with Larry Pearson. Both Hillin and Jimmy Spencer. There's the 7 car driven by Larry Pollard from Taylorsville, North Carolina.
Of course, he's the son-in-law of Harry Gant, who he is substituting for here today. He just can't find any running room in that pack.
And a big story from this division just in the past week or so, the Thomas Brothers Country Ham Team, which has been a very excellent and well-respected team in Grand National Racing. Looks like car go very slowly down the straightaway here, causing everybody in front of us to stand up, indicating something wrong, but no major problem. The country the country ham car, which has been very competitive in Grand National Racing, has apparently, at least for the time being, closed its doors, and Larry Pollard released from that ride. Some speculation, though, that the Thomas brothers will be back on the circuit very, very shortly. Meanwhile, Mike Alexander leads and is already involved in traffic, trying to pass some of the slower cars. The 96 machine there on the bottom side of the racetrack is driven by Tom Peck, and now the number 3 car will be next to be passed. That's Dave Lind, one of the Busch Grand National North racers from Norfolk, Massachusetts.
Morgan Shepherd continues to make his way up through the pack. He just moved around Tommy Ellis for the 4th position. Dale Jarrett had moved around Ellis a few laps ago, and taking over 4th. Shepherd has moved around for the 5th position. And here's Alexander moving around that traffic with ease. And he said if he could keep that car going fast in the corners, Bob, that he might be the first one to win 2 races this year, and also the first driver to win from the pole here at Dover.
Well, he's certainly looking good at the moment. We've got many, many laps to go, of course. It's a 200-lap race, and we're at lap number 27 at the moment. Morgan Shepherd, meanwhile, in car number 97, continues to pick off those ahead of him. The number 79 car rider, Dave Resendiz, who we have seen drive modifieds at North Wilkesboro, is now passed by the number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd. The next car that Morgan will try to pass and pick up a spot on is the 32 car driven by Dale Jarrett. There he is on the outside on the 3rd and 4th turn. So Morgan definitely is moving in on Jarrett.
And the LD Ottinger car, who started in 6th position, is in the pits for an unscheduled pit stop. LD, a former national champion of this division and a former winner, of course, in this division as well, but an unscheduled pit stop for a change of right side tires for LD Ottinger.
Morgan Shepherd, car number 97, passing cars on the outside of the racetrack. That's the 26 car driven by Larry Brolsma from Midland Park, New Jersey. You can see how very quickly Morgan Shepherd has closed in on Dale Jarrett. Jarrett is in that red and white car, number 32, on the high side of the racetrack, and he is picking up a position on Rob Moroso, number 25. So Moroso also dropping back here.
No question but what Shepherd is the fastest car on the track. We said a moment ago that Jarrett might be. Jarrett has picked up about 3 seconds on the leader, Mike Alexander, in the last little while, but Shepherd has been gaining on Jarrett, so that means he is really moving. But now Jarrett and Shepherd both in heavy traffic.
And obviously something not going well in the Moroso car, the number 25 car there, trailing this group. He has dropped back from 2nd position. Now Ottinger, number two, has been in the pit, so he is not battling for position out there with the others.
Well, we wonder, Bob, if Hoosier tires might be coming into play here now. Both Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd are running Hoosier tires, and we've already seen LD Ottinger make a pit stop for right side tires, and we wonder if that has anything to do with it.
As we indicated, 13 started on Hoosier tires and 23 on the Goodyears, and there is the leader on Goodyears, Mike Alexander, in car number 84. 32 laps have been completed here in the Budweiser 200. We're glad you could be with us live here on this Saturday afternoon. We'll be right back. At Dover Downs International Speedway, Busch Grand National Racing, and Mike Alexander in number 84 continues to have the lead, and he has led all the way so far. And the number 25 car, Rob Moroso, has been dropping back in most recent laps. Let's find out why as we go to the pit area and Jerry Punch.
We're standing with Steve Bird, the crew chief for young Robbie Moroso. And Steve, your car seems to be dropping back a little bit or slowing up. What's the problem?
Well, we had a push problem this morning, and we tried some of the bite out of it. and now we're a little bit too loose. We got a caution. We're going to fix it right now.
Okay, they're going to bring him in right now and try to get some tires changed and get that car tightened up a little bit.
And the reason for the caution, Jerry, is Kyle Petty, and he has some smoke coming from the right side of that car. Did he make contact with the walnut, or is it just a situation where something mechanical is going
I think it's the engine in the car, Bob. It looks like the smoke is coming from underneath it, I believe.
Well, the smoke appeared coming off of corner number 4, and it was trailing smoke down the front stretch here. And now Kyle has the car in turn number 3 on the apron of the racetrack. Morgan Shepherd is in the car number 97. He moves back out onto the racetrack. And a quick pit stop on lap number 38 for Morgan Shepherd.
They just took on a little fuel and sent him right back out.
Morgan waits at the pit road so that he will not pick up a lap on the field. He'll have to rejoin at the tail of the field, which is coming down the front stretch right now. Now the NASCAR official saying it's okay. And here comes Kyle Petty into the pits. And obviously things have gone wrong in that Ford for Kyle.
Kyle had just been lapped by the leaders about 5 or 6 laps ago, and apparently something happened. Let's see if the leaders are going to come into the pits. Mike Alexander stays out, so does Darrell Waltrip and Dale Jarrett. A couple of cars behind them coming into the pits, but they decided to stay out there because they can make this race on one fuel stop as far as fuel is concerned. So they're going to stay out there. They've only run about 39 laps, so they got another 60 or so miles that they can go before they would have to have fuel.
As you indicated, the thing we will watch closely during the afternoon is tire wear. And Morgan Shepherd came in for a pit stop and got some fuel, but he's on Hoosier tires, and they elected not to change there. Now Morgan comes in once again along with several others, and so pit stops are being made. Morgan Shepherd, they are changing tires right now. Here is Larry Newber.
Well, Bob Morgan Shepherd, who started 18th today, has had a pretty good run since that, for him, dismal starting position. Remember, he is one of the few drivers here at Dover who has won a Busch Grand National race since it's gone to Busch Grand National Racing. And they are changing rubber on all 4 sides. It is a routine pit stop. And, of course, Morgan has been one of the people very loyal to Hoosier tires all year long. So it's no surprise that they have bolted on new Hoosiers, and all they have here in the pit area mounted are Hoosiers.
Larry, have they changed the rules? It used to be that you could only change 2 tires on a pit stop. Have they changed those rules?
Well, Ned, I think as a result of what happened last week at Charlotte, there is a wait-and-see attitude on behalf of the NASCAR officials. And I saw that myself, Ned, and that's one of the things that we're going to be looking for a NASCAR official for to ask him, because I heard that rumor before we went green flag, but was never able to get it confirmed.
All right, so the 84 car of Mike Alexander, the leader, remains on the racetrack, chooses not to pit at this time, as the first caution of the afternoon is out for Kyle Petty. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World today at Dover Downs International Speedway for Busch Grand National Racing. We are under yellow because of an apparent blown engine on Kyle Petty and let go coming down the main straightaway. He dived low on the racetrack to keep the oil from the racing groove. Larry Newber is with him in the pit area. Larry?
Well, Bob, I guess this means that the day is over because Kyle Petty is standing here with his steering wheel. You going down to the Winston Cup pits?
Going to take my steering wheel and go back and drive another car, I guess.
Just simply a matter of she blowed up, eh?
Yeah, really. You know, we started a little bit too loose, I guess. I like to hit the wall on the 3rd or 4th lap, but, you know, I gathered it back up and finally found a groove. When Darrell and those guys lapped me, I watched where they were running, and I finally found a groove, and, you know, the peak antifreeze Ford was working good. It was coming back up through there pretty good, and just when you think you got it going pretty good, something breaks on it.
Alexander and Moroso were telling me before the race that the groove moves up significantly on this racetrack. Once you get into it, you get right up along the wall, even if you don't want to be there.
Yeah, you don't want to be there. That seems to be where it goes, but, you know, in the past, I've watched Darrell Waltrip run here, and I think he runs as good here as anybody else, and he's showing it today. And, you know, if he has to move up towards the top of the racetrack to run good, then Darrell usually doesn't run good here. He's right on the bottom, and that's where he's kind of working right now. And, you know, I look for him to be strong all day long.
Well, not only is Kyle Petty's weekend not over, but the day is not over. Winston Cup practice later on this afternoon.
Well, to clarify the rules change with regard to tire changing, earlier today, the NASCAR in the drivers' meeting told the Busch Grand National drivers that normally you're only allowed to change 2 tires under caution. That will not be the case today. You can change as many tires as you'd like under caution. You can change 4 tires. You can change from Goodyear to Hoosier and back to Goodyear if you'd like, as many times as you want to. And the reason being the tire problems the 2 tire companies have had. They want to try to get that worked out. In fact, the Goodyear tire running today on the Busch Grand National cars is the same tire, left and right side, that will run tomorrow in the Winston Cup race. So a lot of very interested parties in the garage area watching what's happening today, trying to get an idea on what this may happen tomorrow.
And the 4 of us, along with Dr. Dick Berger, will be here for that Winston Cup race beginning at noon Eastern Time, live here on ESPN. The field will get the green flag coming down this time. There you see the 2 abreast formation. The lap cars to the inside, the faster cars to the outside. Green comes out on lap number 44. Alexander is in the lead, followed by Darrell Waltrip, then Dale Jarrett, Robbie Moroso, and Ken Schrader. Those are the top 5 as the field picks up speed and moves through the first and second corners.
And L.D. Ottinger trying to get his lap back. He made an unscheduled pit stop, and he does move around.
And we have a change of leader, at least right now. Darrell Waltrip edges around Mike Alexander and leads.
Alexander went from first to third in a very short period of time.
So there may be something wrong with the Alexander car, or maybe he's content to drop back and see what everybody else has got.
Well,
but
actually,
both Darrell Waltrip and Dale are ahead of him right now.
Yeah, actually, before the caution came out, Bob, both Darrell Waltrip and Dale Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd, who was running 4th at the time, were gaining on Mike Alexander. However, Shepherd has made that pit stop, so he has to come from the rear again.
And as you indicated, L.D. Ottinger in the number 2 car has gotten his lap back. The battle goes on between Bobby Hillen, Ken Schrader, and Jack Ingram. This is the battle for 6th position, now back to 7th, as Schrader is on the high side and Jack Ingram in number 11 is down low on the racetrack, coming off the 4th corner. There you can see now the leader, Mike Alexander, there in the yellow car, is trying to get back that 2nd position as Dale Jarrett is on the outside. Let's see what happens here as the car goes into turn number 3. A great side-by-side battle here. Mike Alexander and Dale Jarrett going at it, and Robbie Moroso is watching all this from behind Dale Jarrett. Good side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel racing here for that 2nd spot. And it looks as if Alexander is going to go into 2nd, at least momentarily, dropping Jarrett back to 3rd, and then Robbie Moroso in 4th. Very close competition, though.
And we see Darrell Waltrip's car up there. He's trying to move around L.D. Ottinger to put him a lap down. Now, the fans will be a little surprised maybe to see him in a black automobile. They're used to that day-glow orange and white and all of those colors that he has on the Tide Chevrolet that he drives on the Winston Cup circuit. But on the Busch Grand National circuit, his car is sponsored by Exxon, the Super Pro car, so he has his black.
And, of course, he has won this year in the Grand National Division, and Darrell Waltrip trying to make it 2 this year and become the first repeat winner in this series.
Ottinger able to hold off. However, he has fresher tires, let's say, on the outside than does Darrell Waltrip, and that can certainly help you. Ottinger, a very good racer, has a very fast race car. So he's staying out there hoping he can get a caution while he is in front of the leaders. Here comes the car number 84 of Mike Alexander back up to challenge Waltrip.
So Alexander, despite the fact that he didn't have a good restart coming off of that caution and dropped back to 3rd, now has fought his way back to 2nd and may be in a position to challenge for the lead once again as he is closing in on Darrell Waltrip. Down the back stretch, Waltrip has him by just about a half a car length.
Both of those drivers come from Franklin, Tennessee. Small town just outside of Nashville.
Here they are coming off the 4th corner. Everybody in the grandstand stands up and looks closer to see who's going to lead this lap. And it is Waltrip, but just by a nose, as there is Dale Jarrett battling with Mike Alexander for 2nd, and Robbie Moroso in 25 is also right there. These 4 cars are going for the lead.
Well, that's as close a racing as you'd ever hope to see. They are really going at it. Jarrett slips a little high. Alexander gets a bite down on the inside.
So it's still Darrell Waltrip, Mike Alexander, and then the 3rd place, Dale Jarrett, who won last weekend. We asked him what that win did as far as confidence on the team.
Well, it gives me a lot of confidence, a lot more confidence than I had, because I knew I had the ability and the equipment behind me to get the job done and outrun everybody. But until last week, we really hadn't shown that we could do that. We'd run well, but not to the point that we were ready to win the race. But last week, everything went well, and it gives the crew and myself a lot more confidence.
So Dale Jarrett is certainly showing that confidence here this afternoon, running very well here in the first 54 laps of the race. He is in third right now, but not too far behind the first two. Bobby Hillen is in that yellow and white car, number 81, catching up with this group. Now falling in right behind Robbie Moroso. So we got 5 cars here that are very close for the lead.
Hillen is also one of the drivers that's on Hoosier tires today, and he ran second to Dale Jarrett at Charlotte last week. Has had some very good runs in this Busch Grand National Series this year.
We're a little more than a fourth of the way through this 200-lap race here for the Grand National cars at Dover, Delaware. Oh, some smoke coming from Darrell Waltrip. Was it tire smoke, or was there something wrong with the car? I think maybe it's tire smoke.
It might have been, because a lot of times you'll see that as they come off of turn 4, it looks like it's still running at a pretty good clip.
Nope.
Whenever it goes high there, though, it's more than tire smoke, I believe.
It certainly appears so, because Waltrip is off of the accelerator. He's still maintaining that second position, however, but I don't think the car is up to full song. No, he drops back now and goes into third position. Here comes Robbie Moroso in the red car to the low side of Darrell Waltrip to pick up fourth, and Bobby Hillen is also going to pass him. So Darrell Waltrip apparently has a problem here, and we have seen smoke coming from the rear end of the car. There, it's pretty obvious. Something is terribly wrong with Darrell Waltrip.
It could be rear gearing smoke, it could be an engine, or it could be transmission. There's a number of things that it could be. It seems the car will still run pretty fast, but he just backed out of that pack there to take a look at it and see what the problem is, and to see if he can continue to go on.
Well, it's getting worse and worse every lap, but nevertheless, Waltrip stays out there on the racetrack trying to get as much out of the car as he possibly can. Meanwhile, that lead has gone back to Mike Alexander, with Jarrett second, then Moroso, and then Bobby Hillen, and Darrell Waltrip at number 17 is back to fifth spot.
And they're going to black flag Darrell Waltrip. Apparently he's dropping something on the racetrack. I'm going to speculate that it's either transmission or rear end on that car number 17, Waltrip.
There is the black flag displayed, and the number 17 that you saw below the flagman indicates the black flag is for 17. Let's go to the pit area quickly.
The car that Darrell Waltrip is driving today, he nicknamed Fido. And they called this car Fido. It was his Winston Cup car. We saw this car race at Darlington here on ESPN. The car was wrecked and put out to pasture. Waltrip decided to buy the car. He put a new rear end, a new front section on the car, and made a Busch Grand National car out of it. So now he's having trouble with the car again. So Fido comes on the pit road to make a pit stop, and Larry Hooper is there.
Right back out there, so the crew must feel that there is no fluid coming from the race car, and Waltrip goes back out onto the track. He, of course, has lost many positions. Jerry, what's the story?
Well, Bob, the suspicion down here is that there could well be a leak around the oil pan. I talked to Jeff Hammond briefly. I have no idea where they came up with that idea, but that's what his suspicion is. They brought Darrell in just long enough to allow the NASCAR official to let Jeff get underneath the car, check out the situation, and right now they are back in consultation again. There's still conversation going on down here.
All right, so Darrell Waltrip is still not up to full song, as the lead now is held by the 84 car of Mike Alexander. Right behind him in the number 32 car is Dale Jarrett. Back in a moment at Dover. The second caution of the afternoon is out because of a spin and contact with the wall by Rob Moroso. It happened at the end of the backstretch. Ned?
He was running in the third position, and the back end just gets out from under him as he comes off of that turn. Bobby Hillen got by him, but he backs it in to the inside retaining wall. I believe they'll be able to fix the car, maybe. There was quite a bit of sheet metal damage to the rear, but he'll bring it around because he's in second place in the point standing, and certainly he wants to stay out there and get as many points as he can. Let's watch it from another angle as he came off of the turn and down to the inside. It looked like the back end just went out from under him.
Ken Schrader in the number 52 car is also in for a pit stop, as are several others, including Jack Ingram and Brad Teague, Tommy Ellis, Larry Pollard. All of those guys are in for a pit stop on lap number 66. see a pit stop by the two guys or three guys running up front, namely Alexander, Jarrett, and Hillen.
A little surprising that they did not come in, Rob.
Rob Moroso was running in third position when the problem occurred, coming out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch, and Moroso makes another pit stop to try to get that sheet metal away from the tires and to check over everything to see if the car is in running condition. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who is right there in the Moroso pit.
Well, young Robbie Moroso having his troubles here at Dover, Delaware. They will change left side tires as Jack Ingram's car flashes by. They got left side tires on the car. They're trying to get the car down pit road without losing a lap as the Mike Alexander car coming by. Moroso trying to get off on pit road. Larry Newber further up pit road for another pit stop. Larry?
Well, Jerry, we're standing by waiting for Darrell Waltrip. I've had another conversation with Jeff Hammond. He says, well, how we figured out the oil pan was, actually was Darrell's call from the cockpit. Here comes Darrell. They're going to put the car up with jacks and take one additional check on it. He got down into the grass, and he said that he felt the car hit bottom, and that was the reason for their suspicion. Now, they've gone to the right side. They're changing tires, but they're also taking a peek underneath there. The NASCAR officials have been in consultation with Jeff, as well as Eddie Jones, the crew chief on this Busch Grand National team, and incidentally, also from the Mike Alexander crew, Kip McCord has been down checking on the situation. So everyone was very concerned about the condition of the Superflow number 17. Apparently, NASCAR is satisfied that the car is not leaking oil excessively enough without problems for any other competitors.
There is Rob Moroso, who is back on pit road as they work on the right side of the car. Here's Jerry. Moving back out onto the racetrack now as the yellow flag continues to be displayed with 68 laps completed. The leader, Mike Alexander, chose not to come in for a pit stop. We'll be back right after these messages. With 68 out of 200 laps completed, they're the top 5. Alexander, Jarrett, Bobby Hillen Jr., Ronald Cooper, and Larry Pearson, as Rob Moroso is back in the pit area, and so is Darrell Waltrip. Larry?
Yeah, Bob, they're still probing around trying to find the exact origin of that oil leak. It is apparently not just an oil pan, or maybe it wasn't the oil pan at all. They've gone underneath the hood and checked all the lines, all the couplings to make sure that nothing is jerked loose. They're still getting some oil sloshing out of that car, sloshing out of the engine, but they haven't found exactly where it is yet. They hope they have the problem now. Rob Moroso is back in the pits again. He's trying to effect repairs to the right rear after he lost control on the backstretch.
So Rob Moroso has gone back out onto the racetrack, but they did extensive work there to the right rear of the car, trying to get that sheet metal from the tire to keep from rubbing on the tire, and Robbie tries desperately to keep them going a lap down.
From our vantage point here, Bob, it looks like that it is mostly sheet metal damage to his car.
So the caution remains out at Dover Downs International Speedway with now 70 laps completed, and we'll be back with more of our live coverage. Stay with us. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Larry Newber, and Jerry Punch back at Dover Downs International Speedway on a Saturday afternoon for Busch Grand National Racing, and we have a new leader. Dale Jarrett, when the green flag came out, shot around Mike Alexander, putting Mike back to second, and Bobby Hillen Jr. in number 81 back to third. An impressive display there by Dale Jarrett. We have 2 guys here on Hoosiers and 1 on Goodyear, and this is how Dale went into the lead.
Well, it moved down on the inside of Alexander. His tires were sticking very well. Alexander went a little high, so Jarrett was able to move right on around him.
Dale and Bobby Hillen Jr. both are on the Hoosier tires, and the middleman there, Mike Alexander, is on the Goodyears.
And neither of those 3 cars have stopped yet, Bob. They're coming around to finish their 75th lap. Now, they're going to have to stop somewhere between, say, 100 to 105 laps, somewhere in that area for fuel. But they all chose to stay out there, hoping they'd get another caution about that time so they'd only have to make 1 pit stop during the race.
Darrell Waltrip appears to have his problem solved because that car is very fast out there, and Darrell is moving back up through the field. He is not a lap down, despite all of the problems that we saw in the pit area, the numerous pit stops that he made, and the smoke that was pouring from that race car at one point. He is still on the lead lap and trying to get back up front to be a contender. Still a long way to go in this one, so don't count Darrell out at the moment. And also the red car there on the left of your screen, the 25 of Robbie Moroso, not here, but the previous shot is Rob Moroso, and he is also on the lead lap.
Now Alexander has moved back up on the rear bumper of Dale Jarrett. That's a sort of a reverse of what we've seen in the past as far as tires are concerned, Bob. Normally, the Goodyear tires are quicker when they're cool, and the Hoosier tires, it takes them 4 or 5 laps to come in. But on that restart, Jarrett was able to move around Alexander, but now Alexander has moved back up on him.
The number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd and the 21 driven by Larry Pearson are going at it for 4th here, as Morgan has passed Larry in the last couple of laps and taken over that 4th position. So Morgan Shepherd's car also working very well.
And he has come from the rear of the pack because during the other caution period, he did make a pit stop, changed all 4 tires, an unscheduled pit stop for Jimmy Hensley, car number 5, the Sam Ard Advanced Auto Parts car in the pits.
Back up front, meanwhile, Dale Jarrett continues to lead. He is the most recent winner on the Busch Grand National Tour at Charlotte last weekend. Here is Jimmy Hensley in the pits, as Ned indicated. They're changing rubber on the right side of the car and also raised the hood there for just a moment.
Yes, they did. I don't know if they were making an adjustment or what they were doing, but this is a very costly pit stop, and a green flag. They're going to go at least a couple of laps down.
So Jimmy Hensley waiting to go back out onto the racetrack, and they apparently, Ned, are having a problem there on the right rear. They can't decide whether to jack it up and try to get it fixed. Well, I guess they're going to send him out.
Well, they went ahead and sent him out. It looked like they were in and out with that jack, and that's a very costly pit stop. Jimmy, of course, one of those 11 faces that we saw at the top of the show who has won a race this year. He won at Martinsville, Virginia.
Just about 2 or 3 car lengths now between Dale Jarrett and Mike Alexander, as Alexander closes in even more now as they come down the straightaway. A good battle here. Darrell Waltrip, meanwhile, continues his pursuit back up front. There he is, the number 17 car. The 34 of Jimmy Spencer is right ahead of him, and the 52 car of Ken Schrader is also right there.
Here's Spencer going down on the inside of Schrader. Spencer has really come on strong. This is his first year on the Busch Grand National Circuit. He's a former National Modified champion, but decided he wanted to go the stock car route and has been running very well.
He's alongside of Ken Schrader in the 52 car, and Darrell Waltrip is tucked right in on the back bumper of Ken Schrader. They're on the high side of the racetrack, and Jimmy Spencer is down low in the 34.
When you get in a situation like that, you don't know which car to follow, Bob. And so Darrell Waltrip's putting his money on the more experienced Ken Schrader, but here comes Spencer. He don't mind sticking it down in there and driving hard. Here comes Robbie Moroso up through there, too, also in car number 25. So Waltrip, he don't know which car to follow because they're pretty equal in front of him.
We're watching the 12th position being contested here by Spencer and by Ken Schrader and the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. 25 of Robbie Moroso is also hanging right in there. A good tight shot. You see Spencer get a little bit squirrely in turn number 3. Fought to retain control of the car, but did nicely. But it could be slick out there in the 3rd and 4th corners.
Probably a little oil and grease getting on the track now, but he's keeping his foot in the accelerator down on the inside.
That's Schrader, Waltrip, and Robbie Moroso there in the single file formation, and Spencer to the inside.
Got to have a lot of confidence in that guy on the inside of you like Kenny Schrader has there. And especially as squirrely as he's getting down there. Maybe Ken's not seeing those little slips that he's making down there. He might want to move and let him go. Here comes Walter going to make it 3 wide.
There's just no way you can get 3 cars into the first corner, and we're again beginning to see some smoke come from the Darrell Waltrip car. Darrell did see those slips and slides being made by Jimmy Spencer, and I think he was thinking, I got to get around this guy as quickly as possible because he could spin in front of me.
That's very true. We see that smoke still, a little bit of it coming from Darrell Waltrip's car. We have a report on the car number 5 of Jimmy Hensley. Why he was in the pit so long, we understand that he had a broken sway bar on the car.
Hensley is back out there on the racetrack. Now we can clearly see some fluid coming from that car.
Of Darrell Waltrip, car number 17. He moved on the inside of Jimmy Spencer, but Spencer motored on by as they came off the turn. Waltrip driving a little bit deeper into the turns, but coming off down on the inside. Apparently it's pretty slick down there. Hard to get traction.
The NASCAR officials are watching very closely that 17 car to determine whether or not there is fluid coming from it that would endanger the racetrack and cause an accident because of it. But it is pretty clear from where we are, and of course we're watching on a relatively small television screen and can't say for sure, but it appears as if there is some liquid coming from that 17 car. Look at Spencer and Ken Schrader go at it.
Boy, he just slid it right out in front and shut the door on him.
He sure did, and for a guy who has spent most of his driving time in modifieds, he's making a fine transition to the Grand National Division and putting some, at least showing his prowess in putting Ken Schrader to the rear.
Now Darrell Waltrip trying to move around his Hendrick Motorsports teammate. Of course, they're not teammates in this race because each of them own their own cars that they're driving here today.
Now is indeed dropping to the inside of the racetrack, and it is pretty obvious that that car is sick.
Yeah, there's some fluid coming out of that car. No question about it. He has been black flagged by NASCAR, so he will be coming back into the pits once more.
So Darrell Waltrip, for the second time in this race, is black flagged and will be coming to the pit area for the NASCAR officials to determine what is wrong with that car and whether or not it is safe for it to go back out onto the racetrack. It was pretty obvious that fluid was indeed leaking from the car, whether it be water or oil. Of course, water will evaporate quickly and dry up, but if it was oil, it's going to make for a very slick racetrack. Darrell Waltrip pulling into the pits rather slowly, and I think Darrell is now pretty well aware that things are not going to go his way.
No, not today.
You can see some fluid dripping from the right rear portion of that race car.
Doesn't look like oil. Well, I don't know. They're looking under the hood. Eddie Jones, who's the crew chief on the car, the fellow in front there, looking to see if they can find out where it's coming from. They looked during the caution period, and there you can see that is water. That's water coming from. That's from the overflow of the engine that's coming out of the car now. So apparently he has a cracked head or a blown head gasket or something of that nature.
So the fluid that was put onto the racetrack is water, and therefore is not nearly as much of a hazard for those still out there driving at full race speed as oil would have been. So Darrell Waltrip has come into the pits, and it looks bad for the guy who won the Coca-Cola World 600 Winston Cup race last week at Charlotte. ESPN Speed World at Dover Downs International Speedway for Busch Grand National Racing. Dale Jarrett in car number 32 is the leader at the moment. Again, a reminder, we'll be here at noon live tomorrow for the Winston Cup race, 500 laps. Let's go to Larry Newber, who's with Darrell Waltrip.
Well, the problems just compound down here in the Darrell Waltrip pit. The oil leak turned out to be a valve gasket cover. That's where the oil was coming out. The engine began to overheat as the oil was usurped from the engine block, and now the problem is all the water has been forced out of the engine. So they've got a series of very serious problems. They're about 95% certain that's terminal for Darrell Waltrip for today.
Well, there you can see Darrell over Larry's left shoulder as he's getting a drink and surveying the situation, but it doesn't look good. Well, we've reached the midway point of the Budweiser 200, and the leader at the halfway point, Dale Jarrett. He had led 28 of the 100 laps. The average speed at this point, 113.60 miles an hour, and the leader, along with Mike Alexander running second, they had not pitted at this point. We'll be needing one very shortly. 2 caution periods, a total of 13 laps. We'd had 3 different leaders and 3 lead changes. 17 cars are on the lead lap. 32 remain on the racetrack. 36 started this race. And those out of the event include Dave Davis in car 61, Kyle Petty because of a motor problem, Dale Shaw in number 60, and most recently, the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip out of the race. Well, Ned, let's talk about this pit situation. The leader and Mike Alexander passed up a couple of opportunities to come in for some fuel, and now they're going to need one here in just a few laps, and it could come under green.
Yeah, it very well could. Dave Mike can stretch to 110 miles with these V6 engines. This year, they're required to run 390 CFM carburetors on these cars, but I'd say 110. No, Dale Jarrett's coming in this time around. Jarrett coming off of the 4th turn down into the pits. Alexander goes on around. We'll see what he does. He perhaps will only take on fuel. Let's go to Jerry Punch in the pits.
Well, John Irvin, the veteran crew chief, standing by for Dale Jarrett, who brings the Portaloo Oldsmobile. Coming down pit road, and Jarrett's car was sputtering. You hear it in the background. The car was sputtering a little bit. They are not changing tires. We are under green. They have 1 can of fuel going in, 2nd can of fuel going in. John Irvin talking to young Jarrett, and they're going to lose some time here in the pits. They get that 2nd can of fuel in. He's down in the way. About 8 time under green.
Now, Jerry, Mike Alexander went on around. Of course, Alexander has a pit stop coming up here very shortly as well. And then, of course, Bobby Hillen moved up into the number 2 position. So he, too, will have a pit stop coming up. In fact, Hillen has moved right up on the back bumper of Mike Alexander. That's the first and second place cars, and neither of them have made a pit stop so far.
So we'll watch to see when the two come in here for a pit stop. They're going to be needing one very quickly because their supply of gasoline is running very low. Bobby Hillen, car number 81, and Mike Alexander in 84. Now Hillen really beginning to show some muscle here as they go down the backstretch. He wants to take the lead away from Mike Alexander. They're side by side as they go into that turn number 3. Here comes Hillen on the inside, challenging Mike Alexander for that top spot. Off of the 4th corner, who's going to lead the lap? And Bobby Hillen is credited with leading lap number 106.
Well, they're getting good fuel mileage on those cars. No question about that. Hillen moves into the lead, and back a little further in the pack as Dale Jarrett came out. He came right out behind Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd is now running in the 3rd position. He's trying to move around him, so that would be an important pass if he can, because that would, when these others make a pit stop, then that would put Jarrett back in the lead lap. He is a lap down. Let's go to Jarrett Punch.
Very interesting here on pit road. A lot of things developing. This tire just came off the right front of Ronald Cooper. A Goodyear tire, of course, and you see some problems possibly developing. You see the tires blistered here all over. A number of Winston Cup crew chiefs have come by and looked at this tire. They are very concerned about what may happen tomorrow. Bobby Hillen is on pit road.
Indeed, Bobby Hillen did come in for a stop, running in 2nd position, and they're also changing the tires on that car on the left side, sending Bobby Hillen Jr. back out on the racetrack. Just about a 16.5-second pit stop for Bobby Hillen Jr. Back onto the track he goes.
Very good pit stop for Bobby Hillen. They jacked the left side up so they could get all of the gas in the car they possibly could. And 84 now, Mike Alexander has retaken the lead. Bobby Hillen had moved into the lead just before he came into the pits. But boy, Hillen looked like he's just going to keep on going out there.
And there's no sign of Alexander coming in for a fuel stop. He is really stretching it. This completes lap number 109. So he is taking that car to the very limit as far as fuel mileage is concerned. We will see whether or not he comes in this time. There is Mike Alexander from Franklin, Tennessee, who started this race on pole position. He hugs the inside of the racetrack, but coming off of corner number 4, he moves high once again and elects not to come in.
Morgan Shepherd has moved into the number 2 position now, and he did stop during the first caution here this afternoon, so he's got a while to go before he would have to come in. I think that caution was out on about the 37th or 38th lap, so he can go for quite a while before he will have to stop again.
And there is Morgan Shepherd in the black number 97, and right behind him is Darrell Jarrett in car number 32.
Right now, there are 5 cars on the lead lap, and Morgan Shepherd, of course, running in the 2nd position. Larry Pearson both did hit on one of those cautions, so they got a while to go before they would have to come in for fuel.
Well, let's go to Jerry Punch, who can perhaps tell us why Mike Alexander is staying out there so long.
Well, a little bit of a strategy session going on behind me in the Mike Alexander pits. The crew chief Chip McCord told me a minute ago they think they could run as long as possibly 140 laps on fuel. They've been getting better than 6 miles per gallon, and it carried 22 gallons. That's about 130 or so miles. But now they decided to go ahead. They're concerned about the tire. They saw that tire I just showed you a few minutes ago come off the Ronald Cooper car. And so they're probably going to bring Mike Alexander down pit road very shortly and change tires. Not for fuel specifically, but more importantly for a tire change.
Well, he is just getting some awfully good mileage, Ned. If that's the case, if he can run 140 laps.
Unbelievable. I would never have thought they could go more than 110 or 115 at the very most, and he's on his 114th lap right now.
Passing Jimmy Hensley in car number 5, who was in for a long pit stop earlier in the race. There you can see some hand gestures being given by Mike Alexander as he goes to the low side of the racetrack. He's coming in for a pit stop. There's no question about that now. He's very low on the track. Jerry Punch is standing by in the Mike Alexander pit to call the stop. He rolls down pit road right now, headed for you, Jerry.
Mike Alexander brings that Buick down pit road under green for a pit stop. And it looks like they will add fuel to the car, and they will check over those right side tires. So I guess their prediction that they would be able to go a lot longer with a little bit in air. Morgan Shepherd now in the upper part of the screen. You're watching Morgan Shepherd, and you're watching Mike Alexander. Alexander down pit road. Oh, he missed the gear. Now he comes back to life, and Shepherd coming in turn 4 into the first finish line.
It's going to be a good battle here as Morgan Shepherd is going to go into the lead. The leaders pass Mike Alexander. Alexander as he tries to get that car back up to speed, but it isn't going up to speed very much. As a matter of fact, he has a problem.
Yes, he does. That car is very definitely not getting up to speed, whether it's locked in one of the gears or whatever the situation is. But Mike Alexander, a very costly situation for him here right now.
So that car is very sick. There he is in the third turn. The car just did not get back up to speed when he pulled away from pit road. We heard Jerry Punch say that he missed a gear, and that may have been the essential thing that happened. Here's Jerry once again as Mike comes in again.
They're going to bring Mike Alexander down pit road, and now Mike is here, and that's exactly what happened, Dan Jarrett. He said he may have locked it in gear. When he missed that gear, that shift on pit road, he got it hung in third gear. They had to jack the car up, climb beneath the car, and try to get the car out of third gear, back into fourth gear so he can race at full speed. Tough break for Mike Alexander.
Well, it really is a tough break because he was running so well today and then have to make this green flag pit stop and stay in the pits for an extended period of time.
So the number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd has gone into the lead here at the Budweiser 200. Now they apparently are ready to send that car back out onto the racetrack, and Mike Alexander moves away once again from pit road.
Now he'll have to move out pretty slow. They probably have put it in that gear, but that means that you go out of the pits very slow.
So the guy who looked like he was going to wrap things up with getting some great fuel mileage and having a car that was obviously working experiences a problem on pit road. There's your leader now, Morgan Shepherd in car number 97, running in second position at the moment, we believe is the 11 car of Jack Ingram. We'll be back right after these messages. International Speedway in Delaware for the Busch Grand National race being led by the number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd. And there is Jimmy Spencer, who has come in for a pit stop. They're raising the hood up on that car. Jimmy was running in about 7th position when the problem occurred, and he brought the car in for the stop.
Too bad. He was running a very good race. And here's Dale Jarrett in for an unscheduled pit stop in the Portaloo Oldsmobile. They're going to the left side on that car. Apparently felt a vibration. And he was already one lap down as a result of the other green flag pit stop. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Dale Jarrett on pit road. We were told that they thought they had a left front tire going down. Now Dale Jarrett is wearing the Hoosier tires. We are standing here. They put left side tires on the car. Tough break for Jarrett. And they are holding him here in the pits. The NASCAR officials are holding him up and now letting him go down. They have 8 men over the wall, and the rule is anybody over 6, they hold you 15 seconds, and they held Dale Jarrett.
Well, Dale was right behind the leader, Morgan Shepherd, and trying to get his lap back before this pit stop, but now obviously he is well off the pace, and there is Jimmy Spencer in 34, still going slow out on the racetrack. The number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd is your leader, and here is the second place car of Larry Pearson, car number 21. The number 84 car ahead of Alexander is indeed a lap down. We have a crash. Oh, Morgan Shepherd rather has apparently blown something, and he drops off the pace. The yellow does come out. Well, we're seeing those up front falling by the wayside. As Morgan Shepherd brings the Buick in for a pit stop, we'll take a look at what happened as the car went into turn number 3.
Just cruising along in first place there. No problem, but it didn't look like as he went into the turn. He drifts up a little high, starts to accelerate down the back stretch, and then you see the smoke begin to come from it as he heads into turn 3. Here's the car number 4 moving on the outside of him. Morgan gets it down on the inside of the racetrack, the inside groove, and out of the way of the cars on the outside.
Well, they have already pushed the Shepherd car, and look at this close call down to the pit area as a crew member almost got hit.
Boy.
And Morgan ran over the air hose.
Well, I'll tell you, if you don't think these fellows are athletes, not only the drivers, but those crewmen down there as well, because he certainly made a good move there and was able to get out of the way of Morgan's car.
We might mention that one of those who was not so fortunate last Sunday at the Coca-Cola World 600 was Bud Moore, who was struck by his driver, Brett Bodine. We would like to say hello to Bud Moore. If you're watching us this afternoon, we hope that you'll be back with us very, very quickly on the Winston Cup Trail. We'll be back in a moment. We are back at Dover Downs International Speedway, and we are under yellow with Jack Ingram in car number 11, now shown as the lead. We are yellow because of this incident with Morgan Shepherd.
Well, the engine apparently let go as he was going into the third turn on his car number 97, the Winter Circle Products car, and he's with Jerry Punch.
Well, Morgan Shepherd, a former winner here at Dover, Delaware, and all the way from 18th starting spot to the front, Morgan, you had a good run going.
Well, Jerry, the Winter Circle Automotive Buick was running real good. We'd worked our way up to fourth there right at the start, and we got messed up on our pit stop, and I had to work my way from the rear again. But the car was running good. We just had some sort of engine failure.
Now, tomorrow you'll have a long day. You've been tabbed to substitute for your friend Harry Gant, who's home recuperating. You got to feel good about your ride in the Skoal Chevrolet tomorrow.
I do, and I like to say hi to Harry. And Harry, hope that leg hurry up in the hills, and I'll try to do the best I can with your Skoal Bandit Chevrolet.
That's Morgan Shepherd out of it today, but good hopes for tomorrow.
And we'd also like to say hello to Harry if you're watching this afternoon. We also hope you'll be back very soon on the Winston Cup Trail. The number 34 there indicates a black flag for Jimmy Spencer, whose car has been smoking rather badly. And there you can see Morgan Shepherd's car in the pit area and out of the race. So we're 130 laps into this race with Ken Schrader now shown as the leader. Just gone green on lap number 133, and Ken Schrader in car number 52 is the leader, with Larry Pearson in car number 21 running second. Third is Larry Pollard. Fourth is Bobby Hillin Jr., and in fifth position is Ed Ferrier in car number 90. Well, let's go down to the pit area and join Jerry Punch, who is with Dale Jarrett, who is also out of the race.
Well, a troubled young man who had a great run going. Dale, you finally had to park it. What happened?
Well, a bolt broke in the lower control arm on the left side. You know, it's one of those things. I don't know the last time I heard that happening to anybody, but one of those things. You couldn't steer the car after that. So we decided just to park the Ford Lou Boatmobile for the day. It's a real shame. The car was real strong, and I think we're going to be the car to beat out there today.
Dale, let me ask you, a number of the Winston Cup crew members have been coming by looking at the tires. The right front tire taking off Ronald Cooper's car, the Goodyear, was blistered. The left front tire that came off your car, the Portaloo Oldsmobile, was a Hoosier tire, and it was blistered. What about tomorrow? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's going to be tough on tires tomorrow. This place always is tough on tires. The left side tires here that we were running in the Grand National race were probably just a little bit soft for this racetrack. We weren't having really any problem. It wasn't causing us any problem. We just needed a caution to get those tires changed. But tomorrow could be a long story for 500 miles.
Well, Larry Pearson and Kenny Schrader are mixing it up on the racetrack. 21 on the inside and Schrader on the outside. They're battling door to door. Here it goes.
They sure are, Jerry. It's a great race as they cross the stripe. And there is Larry Pollard in the car, normally driven by Harry Gant, who's also right there in third spot. But look at the door-to-door battle for that top spot with Larry Pearson in 21 and Ken Schrader in 52 going at it.
Larry Pollard is just looking for somewhere to go. That car is running very strong. It always does here. And here comes Bobby Hillin as Pearson seems to have the advantage coming off of the turn, but Hillin moving up now on the outside of Larry Pollard.
There are the first four right there in a little huddle. The 81 car of Hillin is fourth, then the 7 car of Pollard, 52 of Schrader, and the leader at the moment is Larry Pearson as they go down the backstretch once again. Pollard tucks in on the rear bumper of Larry Pearson and now pulls alongside Ken Schrader and battles for second as Pearson has the lead.
Pollard driving the Ed Whitaker car out of Bristol, Tennessee, as we've said, normally driven by Harry Gant.
I know Harry is watching us this afternoon and probably pulling for his son-in-law. He now inches into second position by about a half a car length, with Ken Schrader not giving up, though, on the high side of the track. Great wheel-to-wheel and door-handle-to-door handle racing. Larry Pollard really showing his stuff here in that Skoal car this afternoon.
It looks like the track is a little bit slick as they come off of turn 2 and 4 on the inside, Bob. They can get it beside us. Saw Pearson do for several laps. And there we see Pollard move ahead a little bit, but as they start off of the turn, of course, Schrader has the momentum, being a little higher on the racetrack, and he's able to pull on his pants a little bit. But here comes Pollard back down on the inside once again as they go into the turn.
Oh, just some tremendous racing. A little bit squirrely there by Larry Pollard, and here comes Bobby Hillin Jr. Hillin saw Pollard bobble just a little bit, and Hillin said, now might be my opportunity, but he was unable to pass either Schrader or Larry Pollard. And look at the 11 car of Jack Ingram, and he is also right up in there. Second, third, fourth, and fifth right here.
And Ingram is very hungry for a win. So are all of these other drivers. Neither of those four have won so far this year.
11 races, 11 different winners in Busch Grand National competition this year. Schrader could be the 12th.
And look at Hillen go down on the inside of Pollard. There's 3 abreast, and Pollard had no alternative but to back out a little bit, and puts him back in the 4th position.
And he took his teammate, at least sponsorship-wise, Jack Ingram, to the high side of the racetrack there coming off the second corner. Here it is again.
All right, what a move by Hillen as he moved down on the inside of Ingram, and Ingram went on the outside of Pollard, and Hillen just kept going in the car number 81, got traction. They might have made contact just a little bit maybe, but not too much, but he just slipped right on by.
So we're now in single file formation, at least for the moment. Well, I may have spoken too soon, because here come Bobby Hillen Jr. in the 81 car to possibly challenge the 52 of Ken Schrader for second position. While all this is happening, we'll remind you that Larry Pearson is in the lead. Here's the battle, though, for second.
And Larry Pearson has loved what he has seen back there in his rearview mirror. He's almost too far ahead of them to see them racing side by side back there, but he knows as long as they're racing the way they are for position, Bob, that he's able to pull away. He's just running out there in free air by himself.
That's absolutely right. He loves this contest that's going on because he just has clear sailing ahead of him. Schrader, Hillen, there's the leader, Larry Pearson. And he now is at the end of the backstretch, while the others are that far behind. Schrader on the high side of the racetrack. Bobby Hillen Jr., then Larry Pollard and Jack Ingram.
About 2 7/10 seconds separates the first and second place car. And here we go with that second place battle.
Neither of these guys have won in Busch Grand National competition this year. Schrader in second and Bobby Hillen Jr. in third. Neither is Larry Pollard in car number 7.
In fact, Schrader nor Hillen has ever won in this division.
We have reports that the 56 car Ronald Cooper is showing some smoke at the rear end of that race car. And Ronald Cooper was running a very fine race at one time, running in the top 5. This is only his 8th start in Grand National competition, and Ronald Cooper is pulling to the inside and apparently dropping out of the race, but it causes no yellow flag, and that means the speed continues and the battles continue. Hillen and Ken Schrader.
Side by side, and they've lost 2/10 of a second. Larry Pearson while they race that way, and the fans jump up on their feet to see what's going to happen as they go in and lap Jimmy Hensley in car number 5, and of course Ken Schrader comes out the best in that deal.
Back up front, meanwhile, it's Larry Pearson in car number 21 who is leading. He's the defending champion of this division, but as we mentioned earlier, it not only takes skill, but it takes luck in this racing.
Luck really does, Ned. The last 2 years I've had a lot of luck, and this year I think it's probably getting even with me, because everything we seem to do, you know, it turns out wrong for us. We're either in an accident or you know, something goes wrong with the car somehow or another, but you know, we just don't have any luck so far this year.
Well, Larry Pearson is trying to improve his luck. You know, last year he won 3 poles and 6 races. Now, all 6 of those wins were on the short tracks. He loved that short track car so much, and he made Banjo Matthews take the Chevrolet Nova body off that short track car and put a Monte Carlo body on it. And that's the car that Larry Pearson is in today. His lucky car from a year ago when he set a single season record over $256,000 in earnings, and Larry Pearson hopes to bring his lucky car home to victory lane here in Dover, Delaware.
Well, with 50 laps to go in this race, 50 laps still remaining, Larry Pearson is certainly in command, but after that, there is just some tremendous racing.
They got together. Bobby Hillen almost got his car sideways, but he brought him back in very quickly there as they continued to battle really strong for that number 2 position.
And look at Jack Ingram in car number 11 to the inside of Larry Pollard momentarily there. Here comes Brad Teague, meanwhile, in the 75 car. car to challenge Jack Ingram. And we'll take a look at this incident that occurred last lap as they came off the second corner.
You can see Hillen down on the inside. The back end gets a little loose on it. He might have touched Schrader, but not much. The back end just got out from under him there as he came off of that turn, but he maintained that inside position. But now he has dropped back behind Schrader, just simply not able to move around him.
But a great job of driving by Bobby Hillen Jr., who will be one of those competing tomorrow in the Winston Cup race, the Budweiser 500 that we'll have live for you at noon Eastern Time. 152 laps completed, and we'll be right back. Jack Ingram is in the pit area. His son Robbie, who's now the crew chief, looking things over. He's replacing Owen Edwards, who was the crew chief on this car. There is Larry Pollard, who is in for a stop also. We are under yellow, and we'll show you why in just a moment. Meanwhile, we'll show you all the pit stops that are going on, and pit road is very busy at the moment. Now let's show you why we went yellow, and it involved Jack Ingram, and it happened between turns 3 and 4.
Of course, he was one of those drivers that was battling for that second position, and all of a sudden the back end just goes out from under him. I believe that he blew an engine when he went in there, Bob, although we didn't see any smoke until the car started skidding. But when he came into the pits, he coasted down there, and they went under the hood immediately.
Well, in any case, the car got out from under Jack Ingram, and he did make contact with the wall up in turn number 4. Not very hard, however, and they continue to work on his machine with the hood up in the pit area. Larry Pearson continues to lead this Busch Grand National race here at Dover. Well, when you raise the hood on one of these cars, you may not find exactly what you find when you raise the hood on your passenger car. With that, here's an ESPN and a NASCAR quick back. Quick Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
When you raise the hood on a passenger car, one of the first things you will see in the engine compartment is the battery, mounted usually in the front of the engine area up here, a 12-volt battery. Well, the battery is not there in a Busch Grand National car, at least not in this Larry Pearson Chevrolet. This Chattanooga Chew crew have taken and realized they must mount that weight, that 20 pounds of weight, as far to the left and low in the car as possible. Well, where do they mount it? Here in front of the left rear tire. The small piece of sheet metal covers a battery compartment here. This battery is low, down, and out of the way. The only problem you might have, you shred this tire, you can get the battery as well.
So the yellow remains out as the car that we demonstrated that battery placement. Larry Pearson is the leader of this race, and we have completed lap number 157. So we'll take another break and be right back with more of our live coverage from Dover International Speedway. Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware, where the green once again has just come out. Larry Pearson is the leader. Second place belongs to Ken Schrader, and then Brad Teague running in third. And coming off of the fourth corner, Larry Pollard got way high on the racetrack, way up in the gray, up in the marbles. I don't know whether he brushed the wall or not, but he came very close and lost several positions.
He did come awfully close, Bob, and he had come in for new right side tires on that Skoll car, but he lost traction as he came off the turn, just got a little too high. But he's back down in the groove now and appears to be running pretty well.
We'll talk about the tire situation here just a little bit. The leader, Larry Pearson, in car number 21 is on Hoosier, or rather on Goodyear's. Ken Schrader, who is second, is on Hoosiers, and Brad Teague, who is third, is also on Hoosier tires. And for more on the tire situation, let's go to Larry Newber.
Well, Bob, I know earlier we were discussing the problems with Goodyear tires. I shouldn't say the word problem, the phenomenon of Goodyear tires. I'm standing by, however, in the Ken Schrader pit, and they have had no such phenomenon down here. They have been on Hoosiers all day long. They obviously plan on staying on them to the end of the race. I'm just talking with Tim Cahoot, Tim's crew chair, or Ken's crew chief, that is. They said they've been very happy. They have not had any problems at all with their tires. And don't forget, Bobby Hillen Jr. is also on Hoosier tires, while Larry Pearson and Larry Pollard, who are also on Goodyear. They chose to not come in, Ken Schrader that is, during the last yellow flag. They didn't think about it. They said they're all set with fuel and absolutely no problems whatsoever with the tires.
All right, so we should see a real shootout here in the last 37 laps of this race. And the battle for second position is really heated up now. That's Ken Schrader in 52 in second. The 99 car on the inside of the racetrack is Tommy Ellis, and he is a lap down. But in third is 75 Brad Teague, and fourth is 81 Bobby Hillen Jr.
And of course, they're battling for second, third, and fourth position, and running a little just behind them, coming into the picture, the white car, number 90, is Ed Barrier. And I'll tell you, I've been impressed with that young man today. He started way back in the 31st position today, Bob, so he has really made a run to get in the top 5.
Oh, contact there between Bobby Hillen Jr. and Brad Teague momentarily in turn number 4, but everything okay as Hillen now battles alongside with Brad Teague for that third spot. They come off the backstretch, still side by side, racing down the backstretch, and there is Ed Barrier in car number 90 that you got a shot of just briefly, and he is also in the hunt.
He's very definitely in the hunt, driving the Cox Wood Preserving car number 90 that's owned by Don Miller, a former modified and sportsman driver out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
The number 2 car of Eddie Ottinger is not on the lead lap as he lost ground early in the contest because of a mechanical problem. Look at Bobby Hillen Jr. pull alongside of Brad Teague. These guys have been going at it side by side for several laps now for that third position. Again, we remind you that Tommy Ellis in the black and red car, number 99, is not on the lead lap, although he is staying right in there with Ken Schrader, who's second.
Yes, Schrader's not able to move around. He's been up on the outside there for a long, long time. He'd like to get rid of him, but he just simply can't do it. Ellis is a fine race driver, and he don't mind charging right in there with you. Now Schrader has moved out in front of him, at least momentarily.
And once again, Ned, we are seeing Larry Pearson take advantage of all of this battling that's going on behind him, because he clearly has moved out in the lead once again, is in clean air, no traffic whatsoever, and he's just loving this battle that he's seeing behind him.
Oh, that's all working to his advantage, no question about it. He's just able to move right away. He has nobody to contend with out there, and so he just moves away.
There's Brad Teague. Good look at him, car number 75. The 81 car driven by that young man, Bobby Hillen Jr., and then the number 90 car trailing Hillen is driven by Ed Barrier, who has come into the Grand National Division from the Charlotte Daytona Dash Series.
Tommy Ellis moved out of the way of those cars as they were battling for position and gave them the running room they need, and Brad Teague trying to take advantage of that.
There it gives you an idea of the interval between first and second. Here they come off of the fourth corner, and Brad Teague now is really beginning to show his strength. Oh, there's a slower car ahead of him, and he has to stand on the brakes and move to the high line and relinquish for at least a moment his battle with Ken Schrader, and allowing Ken to maintain that second position. But Brad Teague was really showing the strength there for a moment.
Yes, he was. I believe that he had the pass made until they ran in on that lap car.
But now there are no lap cars, and it appears as if Schrader and everybody else here might be catching Larry Pearson. Now Brad Teague once again begins to challenge. Brad certainly wants to prove something here. He wants to prove he can win a race, whether it be in Grand National or Winston Cup, because as we told you earlier, Brad Teague lost his Winston Cup ride recently in the Slender U car and wants desperately to show his stuff so that he can secure another Winston Cup ride. There's the average speed, 114.6 miles an hour. Teague inside, Schrader outside, going for second. They come off the corner, and Teague with just a slight advantage, but Schrader is able to maintain the second position down the backstretch, and now Bobby Hillen Jr. is right there with Brad Teague again.
It just looks like the second groove is a little bit faster groove than that down on the inside. I think there's been enough water and grease and oil put down there today that maybe it's a little bit slippery down on the inside, and they just can't get the traction that they need.
Believe that Brad Teague doesn't win this race. He has demonstrated his driving ability very well here, because he's had a very strong race all the way through. He started this race, by the way, in 13th position on the inside of the 7th row, and now maybe in a position to take over second once again. Looks like Schrader may have the straightaway speed, as little straightaway as there is, but it appears as if Brad Teague is able to pull alongside and maybe even go ahead slightly in the turns. Let's see if it happens here again down the backstretch. Yep, Schrader is able to have more straightaway speed, it appears.
Well, he keeps his RPMs up in the turns as a result of staying on the high side. He doesn't lose quite as much, scrub as much speed off down on the inside as Brad Teague is, and that's what gives him the momentum as he comes off the turn to shoot down the straightaway.
We have 24 laps to go. 24 laps to go. Teague now is in second. Let's see if he can move up and prevent Schrader from keeping those RPMs up. Yes, indeed, he does. So Brad Teague is now second, and Hillen will go low to challenge Ken Schrader. And there again is the number 90 car, and he also is right there in the thick of things. Second, third, fourth, and fifth right here.
Okay, now Brad Teague is 1 9/10 seconds behind Larry Pearson. We'll watch him and see if he's able to gain that now that he's been able to move away from the second and third and fourth place cars as they race side by side.
Behind the 90 car barrier is Tommy Ellison. He is a lap down. Third place battle. Bobby Hillen Jr., 81. Ken Schrader in 52. They cross the stripe, and they're virtually side by side. Schrader with just a nose advantage.
And the last time around, Bob, Brad Teague picked up 2/10 of a second on Larry Pearson, so he is definitely gaining on it.
Pearson is on Goodyear tires. Brad Teague in second is on Hoosiers. We'll see if Brad Teague can close the interval and make it a win for himself this afternoon. If he does, it'll be the contact there between Bobby Hillen Jr. and Ken Schrader. If Brad Teague does win, it'll be 12th winner this year.
They are really going at it for that position. Schrader has found himself in a position of just racing all day long. So is Hillen, just racing side by side with someone all day long. But Brad Teague is definitely closing the gap on Larry Pearson. He has cut it down to about a second now in about 3 laps, so he is really moving.
This is Ken Schrader's 6th start. Oh, again contact. Woo.
Now 3 abreast. Look at Ed Barrier make the move on the inside. What a great move by Ed Barrier, the young driver from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Took advantage of the situation when the car number 81 of Hillen bumped the car number 25 and moved around, but here comes Schrader back up on the outside.
Boy, it's just been a great race for Ed Barrier. Do you realize that he started back in 31st position, has been able to stay on the lead lap, and not only that, but to battle here for second spot. A great ride in the Cox wood-preserving Buick for number 90, Ed Barrier.
Let's watch it again. As Hillen was down on the inside, he and Schrader bump momentarily as they come off of the turn. You can see how close they are there. They come together again, and Ed Barrier just took advantage of it, moved down to the inside, and made it 3 abreast going into the first turn.
Great stuff there. Meanwhile, they get it all sorted out here, and they basically remain in the same position that they were before we had all that bumping going on. Schrader is in third, but look how close now Brad Teague is to the leader, Larry Pearson. We are going to have a great battle for the lead in the closing laps of this race, and there are, as they come around this time, 18 more laps to go.
Boy, he has just mowed him down, Bob. After he moved around Kenny Schrader, it took him a while to get by Schrader, but once he did and got out in the open, I mean, he just mowed him down. He was picking up from 2 to 3/10 of a second a lap. Now he's caught him. Can he pass him?
Well, we'll stay with it here. Larry Pearson, a little bit of a bobble there coming off the second corner. And now Brad Teague is right there on the rear spoiler. Teague goes to the inside in turns 3 and 4. Everybody in the grandstand is up watching the battle for the lead. Teague is inside and Larry Pearson is outside. They're still side by side as they go into the corner. Brad Teague is going to take the lead. And Teague in 75 has the top spot.
Of course, Brad Teague is a great driver, and he has never won on a super speedway. He came awfully close at Darlington a couple of years ago in a super speedway race. But Food Country, the sponsor of the car, the Slender U people who released him as the driver of the Winston Cup car are still on the car as an associate sponsor.
And so we have a new leader. It is Brad Teague who has taken the lead away from Larry Pearson. Can Brad be the 12th winner in 12 races? We'll be back to find out. We hope you're enjoying the Budweiser 200 Grand National Race from Dover Downs International Speedway, being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By Meguiar's Car Care products for a deep shine without scratching. Meguiar's, simply brilliant. By Dickies, they're America's favorite work clothes. And by Purolator, the first name in filters. For pure oil now and pure oil later, it's Purolator. We have 11 laps to go in this 200-lap race here at Dover. The lead is held by Brad Teague in car number 75. Here he comes off of corner number 4. The second position is held by Larry Pearson in car number 21. Then in third position is at the moment Bobby Hillen Jr. And then fourth, this battle right here, Ken Schrader and number 90 Ed Barrier. This is the battle for fourth spot.
They've been racing side by side for several laps, but Schrader finally got the best of that battle. But his Barrier's not giving up. He's trying to move right back up on the back bumper of Schrader one more time.
So we may be on our way here to a 12th different winner in 12 races on the Busch Grand National Tour for 1988. We watch this battle for fourth position between Ken Schrader in 52 and Ed Barrier in car number 90, but the lead at the moment is held by a guy who has not won in Winston Cup, rather in Grand National competition. Brad Teague, there he is crossing the line, completing lap number 192. We've got 8 more circuits to go.
He moves up on Tommy Houston, who has had all kinds of problems here today. Houston running good at this point, but he certainly has had a lot of trouble and made some unscheduled pit stops in his spot here.
Well, Brad Teague is a winner in Grand National competition last year at Martinsville. He won in March of last year. His best finish this year has been in Bristol, Tennessee, and he finished 10th there. Rob Moroso, who was early as we continue to watch Brad Teague, who early was a contender for the lead, is in the pit area once again. Brad Teague racing down the backstretch with Tommy Houston in car number 6.
And here's the battle for second as Bobby Hillen moves around Larry Pearson. So Pearson dropping back a little bit now. Hillen coming on strong to take over the number 2 position.
So we have Larry Pollard into the fence in turn number 3. Larry Pollard is into the fence, sliding down the track and narrowly missing another car. That was the number 9 machine driven by Joe Bessie. A narrow miss right there, but Larry Pollard has damaged the Skoll Buick, car number 7, the one that Harry Gant normally drives. And this will bring out the caution, and this race could very easily end under caution.
Well, it could, and Larry Pollard has hit very hard.
Bobby Hillen passed Brad Teague at the line, and if this thing doesn't go back green, Bobby Hillen Jr. is going to win. What was the problem with Brad Teague there?
I think he just made a mistake. I think he saw the caution, and he just slowed down. And as they came off of the turn to get the caution flag, here's Bobby Hillen coming around. Teague going too slow, and Hillen moves right around him as they cross the start-finish line.
By a full car length, and I think maybe we have seen some experience there. Well, 81 is getting black flagged, or is he?
Well,
yes,
maybe,
he is.
Maybe Brad Teague had already taken the caution flag the lap before. That's very possible.
Okay, Jerry Punch, what's the story?
Well, we are told down here that Bobby Hillen is being black flagged because NASCAR has stressed repeatedly that when the yellow flag comes out, you must slow down. Now, NASCAR officials told Brad Teague, standing by in his pit, that to slow down, to slow that car down. Brad slowed down, and apparently Hillen trying to get around Brad Teague and maybe go for a win. As Bobby Hillen goes around Brad Teague, now they head for the stripe, and Hillen gets in front of Brad Teague, but under NASCAR rules, Hillen will be black flagged, and that will cost him some valuable spots here in the race.
Well, indeed it will. It'll probably cost him the lead, or the win, as a matter of fact. So there you see Bobby Hillen Jr. in the 81 car, who is still behind Brad Teague, but will have to heed that black flag that was displayed to him last lap and come in for a consultation with the NASCAR officials. Our immediate concern, however, is about Larry Pollard, who took a pretty good shot there on the right side of the car in turn number 3.
Yes, he did. In fact, that right front is very mangled, similar to the way that his father-in-law, Harry Gant, when he blew a tire and hit the wall of Charlotte last week. And, of course, the end result was that he broke a leg. Let's hope that Larry is in better condition as they work on him and get him out of the car.
A lot of heavy damage there on the right side of the car, though, on the Larry Pollard machine. Well, here comes the field off of corner number 4 once again, under caution. This will complete lap number 197, and it very definitely appears as if this race is going to end under caution.
And Bobby Hillen still doesn't quite understand that, because in Winston Cup racing, you do race back to the caution flag, but they have a situation in the Busch Grand National where it's more of a gentleman's type deal, where they don't race back to the flag, they say, but we'll just have to wait and see what it is. Here's where Larry Pollard hit the wall, and boy, he'd hit it a ton there, as you can see.
And now NASCAR is saying that Bobby Hillen Jr. is the leader. So the black flag that was displayed to him, perhaps on second thought, decided not to penalize him for the pass coming down the straightaway here. So Bobby Hillen may be the leader. Jerry, can you fill us in?
Well, exactly, Bob. What happened? I guess they originally thought that Hillen didn't slow down enough and they were going to black flag him. And now a NASCAR official has come over to Chris Carrier, who is the crew chief for the Brad Teague car, and told Carrier, look, Hillen beat you back to the start-finish line, so we're possibly Hillen is going to be the leader. And when we go back to Greens, they're still trying to decipher it upstairs, but Carrier and some of the Brad Teague crew are not real happy right now about what's going on.
Well, an interesting situation has arisen here, but I know that there are probably as many different opinions as there are situations here, but it would appear to me as if it was a legal battle back to the yellow. Would you think so, Ned?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It was a legal run back to the yellow flag, because they had not taken the caution up to that period, and so he had the right to race back to the flag.
Well, 75, Brad Teague is pulling off the racetrack. Obviously not happy with the situation. He may be out of fuel.
He could be. He very well might be out of gas. Very unfortunate situation here for Brad Teague, who could have at least hung on to second place, but now the others are able to go around as he's just coasting into pit road.
It certainly is. So a tough break for Brad, but this does not mean that we're going to have a repeat winner, because the guy in the lead there, by the way, is Dave Resendiz in car number 79, whose car has also come to a stop. And Ken Schrader is also very low on the racetrack, wobbling back and forth, trying to get the apparent fuel in that car to finish the race.
I'll tell you one thing that happens. Now, Brad Teague has only run, he stopped on lap 128, so that means only Brad Teague had 72 laps to go. He should have been able to make it very easy. But on the high banks here at Dover, when you're going around slow, as they do, the pickup for the fuel is on the right side. And, of course, as long as they got some centrifugal force to throw that fuel over there to the right side, then they're able to pick it up. But on the banks here, that fuel will run down inside and we'll have 2 or 3 gallons in the tank, and it won't pick it up. Let's go to the pits and Larry Newber.
Well, Ned, I'm standing by with Bob Clark, and he is still involved with the Busch Grand National team that Brad Teague is on, even though there has been a driver change, as we have documented in the Winston Cup. But Bob, was it simply a matter of running out of fuel?
I don't think so. I don't see how they could have run out of fuel. Probably just loaded up on him and stalled. It's been a bad monkey on our back all year for Brad. I really feel bad for him. He's driven a heck of a race.
What of the confusion on this race back to the line? First of all, NASCAR indicated they were going to move Bobby Hillen behind Brad, and now they're putting him back in front. What caused the confusion? It seemed to me like it was a clear-cut call, one or the other. Either you race to the line or you don't.
I don't know what they're talking about. You know, I think they had the caution, and Hillen thought they didn't, and Hillen beat him back to the line the second time, but he'd already got the caution flag. So Brad was he was the leader of the race, I'm sure.
So he believes that he received the caution when he crossed the line.
Jenkins can hear me in the booth.
Another thing, just to fill you in on Ned and Bob, you know, there's been so much conversation about, well, the disappointment about Brad losing the Winston Cup ride. Well, Bob is in the pits, and also there are tires down here that are mounted that say 31. There's a lot of sharing still going on between the Winston Cup and the Busch Grand National team.
All right, so again, our concern is about Larry Pollard, who has been involved in a crash down in turn number 3, or in turn number 4 rather, and the cars are coming off turn number 4 now and going to receive the checkered flag, and Bobby Hillen Jr. is going to win here at Dover this afternoon and become the 12th different winner in 12 races in Grand National competition this year. Prior to today, his best finish in Grand National competition was second at Charlotte just last weekend, and now he brings home a victory. So the checkered flag comes out. Bobby Hillen Jr., in only his 7th start in Grand National competition, wins the Budweiser 200. There is Ken Schrader pulling alongside, offering his congratulations to the winner. Finishing in second position is going to be Larry Pearson. Third, unofficially, Ken Schrader. And fourth, the number 90 car of Ed Barrier. So Bobby Hillin Jr. from Midland, Texas, brings home a win in the Winmere Brindles Buick as the work continues down in turn number 4, trying to get Larry Pollard from his battered race car. We will try to have as much and as accurate information concerning the condition of Larry Pollard as it becomes available to us. The race is over. There are the top 5 finishers, and we'll be back right after this with more. Back at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware, where the Budweiser 200 Grand National race has been concluded, and the winner, Bobby Hillin Jr. And a race that it finished under the caution flag. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, 23-year-old Bobby Hillin brings his Buick to victory lane. And Bobby, you've won one Winston Cup win, that coming at Talladega. Now your first Busch Grand National victory. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just got to thank my Lord Jesus Christ. It's been tough, and his strength is giving me strength to make it through these tough times. And I really got to thank Buick, and I got to thank Stavola Brothers. If it wasn't for them, this program wouldn't be possible. And I got to thank Todd and Jerry and John and Glenn and everybody on my crew. They've been the best people in the world to work with. We've been close to winning all year, and we finally got one. And got to thank Hoosier Tires because they worked real good today.
Bobby, when that caution came out and you raced Brad Teague back to the line, what was going through your mind? I saw NASCAR bring a black flag out. What was that all about?
Well, when the caution comes out, you're supposed to race back to the flag, and I did race back to the flag and beat him to the line. And I knew I beat him to the line, so I stayed in front of him, but I think it took NASCAR a couple of laps to figure out that I did beat him back to the line. So once they figure that out, they let me by him, but he ran out of gas anyway. So, the car just ran real good all day.
Bobby Hillin in victory lane. This car is nicknamed Extension Cord, Bobby, and because it was built outside, he didn't even have a shop when he built this car.
Well, that's right. We had to hook extension cord up from Bobby Allison's shop over to my shop, and we just worked through that to get this car ready.
Talk about Shade Tree Mechanics and Shade Tree Car Builders. Bobby Hillin here at Victory Lane. Bobby, congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to say hi to my wife, Kim, back home in Midland.
Bobby Hillin, victorious here at Dover, Delaware.
And our winner's circle interview has been brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And Goodyear will donate the Driver Achievement Award of $1,000 in the name of Bobby Hillin Jr. to the charity of his choice. So an excellent race here this afternoon with Bobby Hillin Jr. only leading the last 5 laps, and those were all under the caution. So an interesting situation developed right at the end. Back at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware, where the Budweiser 200 has been concluded, our race summary will indicate that the winner of this event was Bobby Hillin Jr. And as we indicated, he led 5 laps and all were under caution. The average speed of the race, 112.23 miles an hour. There were 5 caution periods for 27 laps, 9 leaders and 10 lead changes, and 19 cars finished the race. 5 were on the lead lap. Well, while Bobby Hillin Jr.'s victory is certainly something to celebrate, we continue to be concerned about the condition of Larry Pollard, who was involved in a crash down between turns 3 and 4 late in the race. They are still working to get him out of the car, and we will keep you updated throughout the tennis match, which is coming up in just a few moments here on ESPN, of the condition of Larry Pollard.
Well, it was a very unfortunate situation. As we've said here earlier today, Larry was driving for his father-in-law, Harry Gant, who broke a leg last Sunday in the Coca-Cola 600. He blew a tire apparently going into the 3rd turn and hit the wall very hard. He was coming on up towards the top 5 before that happened. Good race here today as we expected, Bob, and of course as we said at the top of the show, no big surprise that we got the 12th place in 12 races.
And it should be a great race tomorrow also. We'll be here live at 12 noon for 500 laps of racing. The Winston Cup cars will be here, and we will too, live at noon Eastern Time for coverage of the Budweiser 500. So once again, the winner here at Dover Downs International Raceway this afternoon, Bobby Hillin Jr. Finishing second was Larry Pearson. 3rd place went to Ken Schrader. 4th to Ed Barrier, and 5th to Brad Teague. For Ned Jarrett for his work in the booth, and for Larry Newber and Jerry Punch, who worked the pit area, this This is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow live at 12 noon. For now, so long, everyone.